single motherhood, especially as it pertains with black women. But it's something, I think this, you see the time on the video, so if you don't plan on watching it, I mean, it's up to you, but it's going to be a rather lengthy video. I think one thing that's for certain when you look at single women, single mothers, is that they're not very responsible. Okay. And the reason they're not responsible, especially when you see single women, could give, not really, but, you know, just to add some fairness, what is fair? Let's say, you know, I'm a single mother. Yeah, I'm irresponsible, which I've already established. You slip up once and you have a bastardized child. And that's really what it is. Okay, I'm feeling good today. I'll give you a pass. But you get no passes for the second, third, fourth child, unmarried, that you have. And the reason I say one thing you can look at with single mothers and their irresponsibility is that there are so many ways to prevent pregnancy out there. But yet these women willingly go out and let men, first off, they're single, which means the man pumped and dumped and left. And that for some reason, he didn't see any reason to stay with you through the birth of the child or to even marry you. Okay. For whatever reason. But, you know, if you're out there engaging in those type of activities, and, you know, one man, somebody can use the argument as, well, men, you know, he could have wore a condom. Yeah. But see, I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about women, because at the end of the day, women are really responsible for the birth of that child. I mean, it amazes me how women who weren't taking precautionary measures in the get-go, all of a sudden become, and you see this with religious women, who fall back on their religious ways, but want to be whores and scarlets outside of Sunday. They don't want to have abortions. They become all sanctified and holy after the damage is done and want to keep the child, when they could have easily gave the child up for adoption to a family who probably can't have children, that will probably be raised up and not drugged up, haphazardly, half-assed raised, into loving families. But no, they want to bring these children. And when you look at the society and structure we live in which single mothers are rewarded with not entitlements, with benefits, and through the fake child support court system, through EBT Section 8, where they're giving homes now in affluent neighborhoods now. Before, Section 8 was restricted in certain areas. Now they can live next door to a hardworking mother and father family who have to bust their asses for 10 years to save up money to buy that home. But yet Takeisha and her illegitimate children get to live next door to Jim and Jane, who busted their ass off the government. So that's the society that we're living in now, where you're rewarded. Women are rewarded for their irresponsible ways in having children. And I say, you know, whether you believe in abortion or not is really not the topic here. It's more of, you know, you weren't taking measures now. Now you want to, the ultimate measure to ensure that, you know, a mistake doesn't happen again would be abortion. But you want to use the religious card, but you weren't using the religious card where you met Roderick at 3 o'clock in the a.m. after the club and decided to let Roderick go in you unprotected, and you knowing damn well you weren't on any type of protection yourself and let him ejaculate all inside you, and 9 months later, you want to be Mary Magdalene and freaking have this child and be all holy moly now, you know. And this is what you have. See, American society really promotes this kind of stuff. And I know it sounds harsh, and these are just my particular views about single mothers in that respect. Single mothers that really try to blame men, really. I know there are a lot of great single mothers, and yes, they are irresponsible. They're not bad people. But I'm talking about single mothers that try to take men through the ringer, that try to have as many of their kids as they can, because they know they're going to get supported by big daddy government in terms of what I discussed earlier, EBT, Section 8, WIC, and all that stuff, that are biased against men. I mean, there are no men, infants, and children's programs and all other. However, we have WIC, women, infants, and children's programs and stuff like that. But, you know, it really shows how irresponsible they are, you know. And you look at now, you know, I look at, especially with a lot of black females, single mothers, a lot of them love to dress their kids just like the men that left them that left them, that pumped and dumped and left them. You know, they'll dress these kids in Timbs, nice little grown man haircuts, little earring, little polo sweaters, you know, just like the gigolos that their daddies were. And you know, and the cycle continues. And many of these young boys, you know, they're being raised by these single mothers. They grew up to be very prima donna, very, either they're super argumentative like women, or they're going to be very feminized and flamboyant when they grow up. And this is all that's coming to pass in the so-called black community now is really trifling activity from the late 80s and early 90s that black folks did. And now all that is coming into fruition, where you have a lot of men in the so-called black communities, no matter what major inner city, will wear pumps in the skirt and act flamboyant and RuPaulish as ever before, and think it's perfectly normal, and kind of dares people to say anything to it. And many people in the so-called black community have kowtowed to these people and given them a pass. All that stuff is coming to pass now. All that trifling, cross-color, OPP error, that time, they had kids, and now those kids are grown. And these kids are the metrosexual, confused gender types, where you have black men that are super soft as ever, and these ultra super aggressive black females in all inner city USAs, you know, and they're confused, and they're I don't know what's going on, but that's pretty much it. But yeah, they end up to, you know, these single mothers, they raise them up to be prima donnas, and, you know, just like the guys that they look just like their daddies that left their mamas 9 months pregnant. That's pretty much it. And, you know, I trip out, man, because, you know, the cycle repeats itself. It really does. It repeats itself. You know, single mothers, that's one thing you take from them, that they don't they don't make very good decisions. They don't. They don't, but they you know, like to get sanctified and holy when it's time for their own convenience, and they steadily and constantly do it again. You know, I'd be weary, any young man, I'd be weary of a woman with 5 kids and, you know, with no man in sight. I mean, that's an indicator. I mean, this woman's had 5 chances. I mean, the odds of you coming in and think you're going to do something different, slim to none. So I'd be very wary of that. Just for, this word, word of advice for you young men out here that in your early 20s, late teens, who are messing with these 34, 30-year-old women, 33-year-old women who have about 3, 4 kids. You think you're getting an older woman, and that's enticing. To say I've slept with an older woman, I was able to find solace in an older woman. You may be baby daddy number 5, and she's well seasoned in how to game you, and you sitting here thinking you didn't score. You need to pay attention. Get you a single girl, and deal with that. Don't be obsessed with conquering an older bust down just because she's older than you. There's a reason why she's single. Peace.